Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And man, I have an amazing dude on today. His name is Glenn Bill. Anyway, this guy is amazing. Wait till you hear his story. I can't wait. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, we are back. I have a guy on today, Mr. Glenn Bill. Man, I think we connected through our mutual buddy Jeffrey Gittimer. I'm pretty sure that's how we connected. And this guy is pretty amazing. High energy. Wait, you'll see. He has a little bit of energy. So I want to welcome Glenn Bill to the show. Glenn, welcome.
Hey, Ken, it's great to be with you.
Man,
with you.
I can't believe it.
I got my COVID eyebrows working. I got my head shaved, but I got to get the eyebrows done next. So great to be with you and your fantastic audience. I love watching your podcasts and what you're doing on live. And thank you for training me on StreamYard and all the great advice you've given me through your course. I took your course, which is wonderful. And it's just a pleasure to be here and give back a little bit to the master, to the king of streaming.
Hey, I appreciate it, dude. So, look, I created this show a little over 2 years ago. And it was, the thought I had was I want to help people get unstuck. And it probably was a little selfish on my part to help me get unstuck, right? Sure. But I think that the more that we tell our stories, we can help more and more people. So that's what this is about. It's about your story, about what you've been through, how you've hit those obstacles in life and overcame them and made it anyway. So, sure. Glenn, let's start with telling everybody where you were born and raised.
Sure. Well, I was born right in Indianapolis, Indiana, and right in a little town inside of Indianapolis called Broad Ripple, which I literally live about 10 blocks from where I was born, and met my wonderful wife when we were in the 6th grade, and she lives and still with me in the house about 6-7 blocks where she was born.
So you're like, she lives about 10 blocks from me.
Right. Yeah. So it all worked out, but you know what? We haven't ventured very far, but becoming a national speaker, we have been fortunate to travel from San Diego to Boston, Massachusetts, and a lot of cities in between to spread our wings. But we are Indianapolis born and bred. We love our city. We love our little village called Broad Ripple Village here in Indiana. And nice. That's where I'm from.
Nice. So growing up for you you're like me, man. You're a Midwestern small town-ish guy. I mean, Indianapolis isn't a small town, but sounds like you're a suburban guy. But being from,
I'm a city boy.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Public schools, born and raised, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm from the hood.
So growing up in the Midwest, though, is a lot different than, say, New York City. Yeah. Right. So we kind of in the Midwest, Gittimer's always picking on me about this. We just like everybody. Like, right. It's just the way it is. So, but growing up for you, what was it like for you? Did you have any challenges as a kid that made life different?
Well, it's funny. I believe every challenge, right, is an opportunity. Every challenge is a blessing disguised. I was the youngest of 5 kids. So, when you're the baby of 5, that presents challenges that, you got to learn how to get along. You got to learn how to obey. I have great siblings. I love all my siblings. They've been a big reason why I've been who I have become. But yeah, I had to survive, and with all inherent things that are with big, large families. I also went to public schools, and in this time where we talk about Black Lives Matter and do you understand the plight of racism, I went through grade school during integration. And so, the Black kids were brought into us, and our neighborhood kids were shipped out to Black schools. And I was so fortunate and so blessed. I was an athlete since I was young, and we participated in a place called Tabernacle Recreation, a Presbyterian church that was completely integrated. I mean, the several teams that I was on, I was a minority. And I consider one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been able to really, feel in my life was the fact that I went to public school for 5 years, that I got to have African-American friends, that there was literally as many Blacks as whites in my class. Certainly don't know what it's like to walk in their skin, for sure.
Right.
But I certainly believe that I have a higher empathy and a higher understanding of what their challenges are, and how the world views them and how they're affected. So not to get in a big race discussion, but I learned a lot from watching, the African-American kids that I played with, and I was a jock, and that I went to school with those years. So from a very early age, I had a heightened sense of awareness. We celebrated Black History Month. We memorized Martin Luther King poems, which, you just don't do in suburban schools, and I went to Catholic schools, although it was celebrated in a different way. It was celebrated in the homes of my friends. So, those were challenges. But those were just great opportunities for me to learn and to open my mind. And I was a troublemaker. I definitely had ADD. I had trouble. I wasn't a great student. Had trouble paying attention, and I wasn't afraid to throw fists on a parking lot. So that's where I belong. I always tell people, I come from the street. When I speak from the street. I sold from the street when I got into my sales career. I've just always, sales and attitude is a full contact sport. Yeah. And so, I just tend to be fearless in my approach to life. I'm fearlessly be myself, and to live my mission. Right. So that's what I do.
So did you end up going to college?
So, I went to Ball State on a football scholarship. I had a great high school career, which was great. And then went to the Ball State University and was there for a year and a half. And then I decided to have a family pretty young. And that took my life in a new trajectory, and forced me to learn new skill sets. Although I think everything in life can be boiled down to football.
Yeah. Go Bucks.
Right. And so, so that's, I went to college. I worked third shift in a book bindery. I worked at a Mr. Video store. I took college courses, and then I started a career in real estate, in the commission-only real estate field. I actually finished 3 years of college on that program, and I became so successful selling real estate and commission only. There was only one thing for me to do, and that was to buy the brokerage that I worked for, which I did at the age of 23.
Wow.
And built that and sold. So yeah, I killed it in real estate. So
wow, man. So and this is right out of did you graduate college?
No. I got my real estate license at the age of 19.
Wow.
And, and then you talk about LGBTQ, two gay guys, Dusty Asbury and Louis Moreno. I don't even know if they're living. I think Louis might have died from AIDS back in the 80s. They're the ones that I attribute the start of my real estate life to, because
wow,
my wife and I rented a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment for $475, and we had our child. And Louis and Dusty were the ones that rented me the place, and they said, you would be a good listing or a good leasing agent. And I began my career leasing apartment homes with Louis and Dusty, and a great real estate owner and developer named Van Roy Properties. That's where I started my property management business.
Wow.
And then at the age, I did that for about a year. And then, at 19, 20, I got my real estate license, and I jumped right into full commission sales.
I've said often that I think every young person in America, probably the world, would benefit more by learning sales, going out, going door to door, selling commission only for probably 2 years out of high school. That would completely change their lives, like most.
Yeah, that or the service.
Or the service, yeah.
Pick one. I'll sell.
Right. Yeah, I'll sell. Right. Let's see, dodge bullets and missiles or go door to door.
Right.
So you got into real estate young. I don't think most 19-year-olds are getting their real estate license.
I was the youngest person in a 75-man company, and through being a Division I football player and through working in a bindery, third shift, shoveling paper for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Because I was young for my class, right? I graduated from high school at 17. I played college football at 18. And then, that was that part of my life. So I was actually young, but I walked into the office and I'm like, all I got to do is wear a suit and tie, be nice to people. And I'm like, you guys think this is hard? Try 3 days in the dead of summer.
Right.
Try shoveling paper in a 110-degree factory.
Yeah.
Getting up, going to college, then going to work at a Mr. Video store and not sleeping with a wife and kid. When we started, I always tell people, our income was $11,800. My wife worked in a cafeteria downtown.
Wow.
But 11.8. So when people are like, I just don't know that I can afford kids, I'm like, shit, come on, get over yourself. Yeah, you can. You'll figure it out. Yeah.
So, and you do figure it out. I love hearing these, 20-something married couples that are planning everything out before they have kids, and it's like, dude, you can't plan for that. I promise you.
And I got kids all, thank God they're all employed, but my youngest just ended a job. And I always tell people it's easier to get a job when you have a job.
Yep. And
so my message to all those young, newly graduated college kids is get a freaking job. And
yeah.
Well, I don't think I want to do that. I said, it doesn't need to be your career job. And Zig Ziglar used to tell us, you don't have to love your job. You just have to love the way you do your job.
Right.
Get a freaking job. And
right.
Then, when you have one, you build on that. So
yeah.
We're working through that, and I'm sure he'll be employed very quickly. He did great. He was employed right out of college. And then, after a year, things don't work. And then you go to the next one. So,
yeah. I think there's a sense in this country that these a lot of the younger generation they don't want to go get a job. They want to pursue their heart's desire. They want to, I don't want to have a job that I hate. Dude, I've had so many jobs that I hated. It doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, but you got to learn some humility along the way too.
Yeah, you got to get a job, and what everybody wants. And I was just interviewed on another show by a millennial, and this is what the millennials want. They want to be rich and they want to be famous.
Yes.
the biggest things they want to be. And I'm like, well, okay, shit, so do I. But guess what? There's a formula. There's a formula that goes before the equals in that equation. So,
Right.
but that's the desire, of that generation, and that generation has now moved on, and I don't even know what they are now. What are they? They were millennials, and now they're called. I don't even know what they're called now. What's the new generation?
I have no idea. My 9-year-old daughter said that to me. I want to be famous. I'm like, well, you better start doing something that makes you worthy of being famous then.
Yeah, well, she should take your live stream course.
Right. She could probably teach it, to be honest. And Robert Wall says, so true, working at McDonald's makes you more marketable than playing video games. Dude, that is so true.
That's our comment and line of the day. I love that. That's really good.
I know. So
tweet that baby out. Tweet that one out, man.
Yeah, right. That's tweetable. So I think, so you got into real estate, you bought and like that's not a inexpensive venture to buy a brokerage. You're like, you know what? I don't think I just want to be a real estate agent here. I'd like to own this place.
Well, yeah, that gets down to my first check, right? I sold the property and I got a check, right?
For $20.
And well, I think the check was like $2,100.
Wow.
And then the check turned into $1,050. And they said, oh no, the house takes half. Oh, hell, I need to be the house. I'm like, you mean all 75 of these people are paying you half of their fee? So that took me one deal to figure out that I wanted to own my own business, right? And, kudos to them, but I was just plowing away and doing it.
But you were 19 when you got your first real estate check.
Actually, I was 20. I just turned 20. I'm trying to think. I was July. You know what? I may have been 19.
19, 20 years old, whatever. Same age.
Right, exactly.
Right. And so by 23,
right,
you're like, I'm buying this.
So what happened was two great people, you never know who changed your life. A guy named Tim O'Connor and Steve Decatur wanted to buy a Century 21 franchise that wasn't huge. And the seller, one of the partners, had just passed. And we got a no money down deal. Come on in, bring your talent, bring your energy, and let's build this thing. And we built that from 16 agents and 600,000 in revenue to 175 agents, 3 offices, just shy of 10 million in revenue over a 17-year period. And that's how I was able to do it. I had 2 great partners that believed in me to help them. And then, we rocked the house, man. And we were the best place to work in Indianapolis. The fun thing is we were in between the number 1 company in the world for Century 21 and the number 5 company in the world for Century 21, and still grew faster than both of them. So
wow,
we literally planted our flag between 2 of the leaders of the industry, and we rocked it. So it was cool.
Dude, that is unbelievable.
Well,
wow.
That's, when you have fun, you don't worry about who's president, and you focus on selling, great shit happens.
Dude, that's amazing. So this was between the ages of 23 and what?
So
do you still own it?
23 and 37. And
wow.
Then one of those competitors was kind enough on October 10th, 2007, or it was 2008, right before the crash, to make us an offer for all 3 offices, all the real estate, and buy us out right before the market crashed, like a week before the market crashed.
No.
Hello, people like, Glenn, you're a genius. I'm like, no, I pray a lot and I'm lucky. I mean, when it's all said and done. But yeah, so I stayed on with that guy. His name was Mick Sheets and Tracy Hutton at Century 21 Sheets. Great people. I would hate to think what would have happened to our company had we had to go through 2008. And I stayed with them for 10 years. And they, really fostered my speaking career, fostered my real estate training career, did a lot with their people, love everybody at that company. But then, I believe in disruption. I believe that things change. And I hopped off of that franchise train after 31 years to join what is now the fastest real estate growing brokerage in America, called eXp Realty. And eXp has 28,000 agents. We're the number one independent brokerage in America. We're a national brokerage. There are no offices. Everything is virtual. And I am helping to grow that company into a 100,000 agent company, along with, selling every day, and along with my speaking career and my book career and all that stuff. So I've always managed 2 or 3 different careers at once. And that's, what I'm doing today is helping eXp get to 100,000 agents and serving my buyers and sellers that have been with me for 30 years and working on my book. And I'm training loan originators and real estate brokers. And then, as you know, I do keynote addresses. I'm considered America's #1 attitude keynote address speaker. And I speak on this book I wrote called The ABCs of Attitude.
Wow.
So people say, how the hell did you do what you did? Well, the answers are right in this book. And if you want to know why you do what you do, right? If you want to know why you make the decisions you make, if you want to know why you don't have any energy, if you want to know why you're not a risk taker, but you want to become something different, then this book's a great start. And then the next thing that you need to do right now is subscribe to the Get Attitude podcast, which we will be dropping today. My good friend Ken, his interview is dropping today in that podcast. And so if you need weekly motivation, like our podcast, the Get Attitude podcast, it's called The Gap. It's everywhere. Just Google it, The Gap with Glenn Bill. You will get stories about people learning from where they are to where they wanted to go, and from who they are to who they wanted to become, and what attitude it took them to evolve, to emerge, to become what they wanted. That is our weekly give back to the world. And I would encourage everybody that watches this to go to the University of Attitude Facebook page. We have the University of Attitude Facebook page where I'll go live. I posted 35 attitude workout lessons for COVID on that page. You can go through all 35 of those for free. And then if you have a social directive, if you are interested in joining what we call the Attitude Movement, we're trying to get 1 million people to join the Attitude Movement. And you can see what that's all about and how to become an attitude ambassador with what we do. So 2 other great Facebook pages to do. And if you're looking for a keynote speaker, head to Glenn Bill Speaker on Facebook and see what I do from the stage, because that's really my passion. And that's what I love to do, is get in front of big audiences and excite them, engage them, get inside their hearts, get inside their minds, and help them understand that they have greatness within them. You don't have to be who you think you are. And that there's so much more in each individual that I encounter. And that's what we try to do, is change the world one attitude at a time. And it all starts with anybody that comes in contact with me. We want to mine the greatness out of their heart, their soul, their gut, and their brain. That's what we do.
That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
So what, so at 37 years old, you sold this company that you bought at 23. So you're 14 years in that. You sold it 1 week in 2008, you said?
Right. October 10th was our closing date. And I think the market crashed on the 13th or the 11th, if I remember.
Dude, that's insane.
That's insane.
So you didn't see that coming, though. There's no way. Nobody saw it coming.
Hell no. I didn't.
I mean, I think we all had a sense that, oh, we're living on this bubble. It might burst someday.
Yeah,
man, it happened like overnight.
I'm not a planner. I'm a doer, and it's worked out for me. Everybody, I know there's haters that want to see me fail, but you know what? When the market crashed in 2008, I had my biggest year. We sold 238 pieces of real estate in the worst year of real estate there could be, which gets back to your attitude. See, I don't care what is happening, right? I have a keynote speech that's called, I hope it gets worse. The 10 reasons you hope things get worse, right?
Wow.
When all said and done.
Explain that. Why? What's the...
Well, I'll give you a few of them, but number one, when things get worse, it gives you perspective, number one, to become happier with what you have. Number two, your competition is eliminated. Number three, it gives you the ability to create new ways of income. Number four, some of the greatest fortunes were amassed when shit has hit the fan. And if you want to learn about the other six, you got to hire me or have your company hire me, because the bottom line is, it's in times of crisis that champions are created. It's in times of crisis where millionaires are created. It's in times of crisis where our country and the collective community becomes the most innovative that they can. And it's in times of crisis when social and political and law changes occur, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to be launching at the University of Attitude, I'm calling 5 of my best African-American friends, because personally, Joe Biden is missing an opportunity. I mean, so is Trump, to be honest with you. But like, Joe, how dumb can you be? Like, everybody is clamoring for him to be brilliant and lead, and all he's got to do is do it. And so I was in the shower. I'm like, screw it, I'll lead. And I think, I've been watching especially what African-American leaders are saying, and what President Obama actually wrote was, okay, what's the message? I think we've gotten the attention of the American spirit. Everybody's nervous, and I really believe everybody is ready to listen. And I think everybody is ready to create the change, but there's not anybody articulating what the change needs to be. But what I hear from the African-American commentators is, it is really about police reform. It's about custody reform. It's about imagining yourself as a black man walking down the street and being terrified in your own nation. And what policy is there? So on Friday, if I can get my people to come on the University of Attitude, I'm going to ask them as an African-American to create with me. And I have no, I shouldn't even be doing it. They will do it. If they could create 10 policy changes, what would those be? And then we'll post them and get them out and see if it doesn't do any good. And so, you know what? That would have never, what's going to happen with me and my friends Friday would have never happened if all this stuff hadn't gone on. And so that's what's going to happen. Go to the University of Attitude. We're looking at doing it at 3:00 on Friday, provided I can get my guests. And it should be inspiring. It should be memorable. It should be eye-opening. And if anybody that is listening here believes that they have a guest that might be a African-American politician or attorney, that's what I'm really looking for, or entrepreneur or citizen that's been brutalized or pulled over for no reason, I want them. And I'm fishing out invites right now for that group, and I'm really excited what could transpire there. So yeah, I don't know how that, but that's how I roll, because I don't play things.
Well, I think that this, and again, this show is all about helping people have a breakthrough, about getting unstuck. And I think you're right, man. All you have to do is scroll through Facebook for 5 or 10 minutes, and literally all you see are complaints. There's everybody pointing out the problem, but nobody is providing a solution. In politics, it's just, they're firing missiles at each other instead of, hey, here is a well thought out solution that we can implement and take our country and this world to a whole different place. I love what you're talking about. But so when you sold that company at 37, let's get back to your story.
Yes.
When you sold the company at 37 years old, did you retire?
Oh, hell no. Yeah, no. We put the pedal to the metal, right? I mean, we reinvested. I bought real estate. I did other things. So,
Yeah.
but I had 4 kids. So I was paying tuition and I was paying off debt. And so, at that time at 37, I had a 17-year-old going to college and I had 3 kids in Catholic schools. And, so it was, although it was nice, it wasn't like I became a billionaire or anything.
Sure.
And I focused, what I focused on was, everybody said, yeah, I built my company on public speaking and sales meetings and sales trainings. And not only I had 2 great partners that did that as well. But that was kind of what I did. And so then I focused, those 17 years I was an owner, or 14 years I was an owner. For some reason, I kept every single outline of my sales meetings for 14 years. And that's what I turned into the Source of Sales real estate sales training system, which is 10 hours long, which I do for real estate companies and mortgage companies all across the country. And some of the best content I've ever delivered and created. And it's a 10 CD disc set. You can get it at gbunlimited.com. And so I focused on the speaking business. So, I've been working the speaking business for 13 years. And, just this quarter, I really started this first quarter. I hit some big events. I mean, I really started, my momentum, 13 years of work got me to the big stage and the 1,000, 2,000 person audiences and the lights and, just big, it's what everybody dreams of when they're a speaker, right? To get these gigs. And man, we loaded it up and then COVID hit. So some of my gigs have postponed. I think we're going to have a fine fourth quarter, but COVID hit. Yeah. So what did I do? I went to my mentor and I said, hey, what are you doing? And Jeffrey Gitomer was on Facebook every single day. And so, you know what? I got my ass on Facebook and I did the attitude workouts. Right.
Yeah.
And so that went great. We got a bigger following. And so, we are developing content right now that is awesome. It's new. That's going to make me a better speaker and that we hope is going to help the world.
Wow.
Thanks.
That's pretty cool, man. So there are a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of realtors.
Yeah. 2 million.
There's so many. And it seems like, I mean, there's more and more and more every single day.
Sure.
For somebody, and let's just take realtors out of it. Let's say anybody in any kind of a sales position or starting a new business. What
You're freezing up on me.
I am?
Okay, yeah, you're good now.
Okay. What would you say to somebody that's just getting started? Like what would you say to motivate them to, come out of the gates on fire?
Well, I mean, I think you got to start with the end in mind, right? So you said, I think on mine, be patient, which I get. But if you do not have belief, if you don't have the attitude, but most importantly, if you don't have the end in mind, some people call that your vision, you will not stay motivated. You will not do what it takes. You won't stay late. You won't start early. And so the bottom line is, I want to open my own store. Well, is it you want to open your own store? Or do you want to sell the store that you opened for millions of dollars, right? So many people, when they start their business, they don't have the end in mind. And I know that sounds like planning, and it is. But I call it dreaming, not necessarily planning, because I don't care what the how is. I don't care how you're going to make your dreams come true. I just want to make sure you have a dream. And I think this find your why is a completely overused term that makes me nauseous. Just because, all I need is a dream. I mean, the why can help navigate you to create anchors and engagement and enthusiasm in your dream. But most people have an innate ability to connect with who they are, what their dream is, and why they are here on earth. And that's the deal. Start with the end in mind. And, my end is to be America's #1 and greatest motivational speaker in my speaking business. It's to do X amount of millions in units in my sales business. It's to write another book and sell 1 million copies of that. So, shoot big, have your dream, and then have it compel and pull you, because, we do not set goals for what we get. We set goals for who it makes us become. And when you set high goals, you realize, I better change.
Yeah.
If I don't change, my goals are never going to happen. And that's, I think, the goal's bigger than the how. So for anybody worried and getting caught up in the minutia of how to do things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that. So,
yeah. So what about the middle-aged man or woman that's 40, 50, 60 years old that I mean, dude, I think we're the same age, right? I think we're the same age by just a few days, aren't we?
Yeah, by 3 days. Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yours is the 20th?
Mine is July 20th. You were July 17th.
Is that crazy or what, dude?
Insane.
So look, the world this is the strangest time ever since I've been alive. I know that for sure. And I'm not talking about the riots. I'm talking about everything. The first time ever that the entire world went on lockdown for the most part.
Right.
Ever. Like, we've never had the entire planet go on lockdown. And so for the person that may be middle-aged right now, where life has taken a significant turn, maybe their business just went under. We've seen a lot of that. What would you say to that person because dude, here's the other thing. Suicide rates are at an all-time high.
Right.
I mean, they're at an all-time high, and there are people saying enough of this already, and they're ending their life. And that breaks my heart.
Sure.
What do you say to the person that life has taken a significantly bad turn for them and their business went under or whatever is going on? What do you say to them to help them kind of get a new vision, a new direction, and get motivated?
So the first thing I usually say to them was, how was breakfast?
Okay.
Right? And you're going, what? So here's the statistic nobody talks about, nobody cares about, and nobody feels like is relevant, nor do they want it to be relevant. And I think, Ken, I've talked with you about this, but do you realize how many people die of starvation globally a year?
No, I don't know.
The number is 9 million. 9 million people freaking starve to death annually.
Wow.
And so when shit goes wrong and I can't pay rent, or I've lost my job, or I'm feeling sorry for myself, I always like to ask people, how was breakfast? Because you know what? I know a lot of people that are going through tough times, but you know what? They're still managing to have food. And a lot of them still have clothes, and a lot of them still have shelter. And a lot of them still live in the greatest country in the world. But when we talk about third world countries and we talk about global starvation, which kills 9 million people a year, nobody seems to care. And so I think, to gain perspective for me, I think about people that actually starve to death, right? I mean,
right.
When you don't have food, you don't have anything else.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you sit there and you go, okay, well, what do I have? So you feel what you focus on. And then it becomes a matter of changing my focus. And so, as we know, the great Jeffrey Gitomer has defined attitude, and I think the dictionary did, is it's the way you dedicate yourself to the way you think.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is that for those people who have had financial reversals, life reversals, emotional reversals, mental health reversals, the whole key is to change the way you think, right? To refocus your mind. And that can be done a little bit at a time, but that can also be done listening to The Gap. That can be done going to the University of Attitude Facebook page. That can be done following me and watching what I'm doing. That can be done going to the Attitude Movement and helping me change the world one attitude at a time. So there are sources and there are people out there that, seek and you will find.
Yep.
Suicide, right, is the most selfish thing you can do. And that becomes when you become completely self-absorbed and you focus on what you're not getting. And so that's really what happens with suicide. So still horrible, still awful. But, I always say you can't win in life. You can't win in relationships. You can't win in business until you win in your mind first. And that's what I try to help people to do, is to win in their mind. And the bottom line is the people you're talking about are not winning in their mind because they're not seeking new information. They don't have a mentor. They're not copying them, and they're not looking for the grace that is simply floating around them. All you got to do is open your eyes and look for it. Right?
It comes down to what you were saying. Like you've got to have goals, man. You got to have, even if and I've lost everything multiple times as an adult.
Congratulations.
I know. Right. And it's like, you have to just dig deep. You have to dig deep and find that motivation, that set a new goal.
Well, the bottom line is you can't do it alone. A lot of people can't. But the good thing is our country and social media has plenty of places for you to go get help.
That's right.
And so quit trying to do it on your own. If you're done and you can't do it on your own, find help. And there's plenty of people that will give it to you. And there's plenty of venues and outlets that can help you. So
the Breakthrough Walls podcast.
The Breakthrough Walls podcast. Get on here and listen to what people are saying. I've been catching up and listening to your guests, and it's fantastic, right? I mean, it's awesome. So thank you for having me on. This is really good.
Dude, I'm glad you're here. So what do you think the number one reason? See, I see you're getting antsy. This is an hour-long show, dude.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. We're not done. I mean, no, normally it's 45 minutes to an hour. So, but what do you think the number one thing is that, and I'm going to tell you the number one answer is always fear. So not every guest, but most people say fear. But what's the number one thing that stops people from achieving? Like if I said to 100 people, hey, would you like $1 million if I gave it to you? Most of them would say, yeah, of course I'll take $1 million. But if you say, hey, can you go out and make $1 million this year? Most of them are going to say, no, I can't.
Right.
What do you think it is that stops people from achieving their dreams? What keeps them stuck?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to what I said. They got no vision for their life, right? Now, the reason they have no vision can vary. But ultimately, where there is no vision, the people will perish. Somebody said that. I'm not sure who it is. But that's a great leadership lesson.
Yeah.
And my number one leadership lesson is this. The most important people and the most important companies and the most important groups and the most important teams, they all need leaders. But you know what? If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others, period. And so my number one leadership message is you better learn how to lead yourself. And if you had terrible attitude coaches, because that's what I call them, right? We're all born with 2 attitude coaches, and some of them are not very good. And, that's what we try to get into at the University of Attitude and at the Clarity Summit and the different events that we have is why, who was my leadership coaches and what did they put into my head? How do I clean that slate And then how do I recreate the vision for my life, right? How do I recreate my vision that I'm emotionally attached to, that I'm linked to? And so, yeah, the reason that what holds people back is they don't start with the end in mind. They're not living in their vision. They're living in them circumstances. They cannot see past their circumstance. They can't see past gas prices. They can't see past a shitty boss. They can't see past a shitty job. They can't see past a horrible relationship. But most of all, they can't see past the person looking at them in the mirror that sucks. And that's where the breakthroughs come. So
Right.
The great Jim Rohn will tell you, right? I'll tell you what's holding you back. It's you is what's holding you back. And you can only go as far as you're willing to learn. And that's why we're on the Breakthrough Podcast, helping people understand the importance of reaching out, finding other mentors, finding other podcasts, learning from the masters of personal development. And that's what our podcast, the Get Attitude Podcast, is about, helping you become who you are to who you want to be. See, the problem is nobody has trouble identifying who they are. People really have trouble defining who they want to be. When it's
that's my next question is what if somebody doesn't know how to create a vision? Maybe they worked in a factory for 20 years, knowing every day, this sucks, I hate this. We hear that, right? I worked in a factory out of high school building cars at Honda for 3 years, and every single day of my life I was like, I can't believe I'm going in to do, and I was making crazy money for 18, 19, 20 years old, but like, I hated it. I mean, I absolutely hated it. So for the person that maybe spent 20, 30 years in a factory or doing something they hate, what if they don't know how to like create that vision for their greater self?
Right. They need to come to my Clarity Summit. We help people create that at the Clarity Summit. Now
welcome to the Glenville Pitchfest.
Hello. But I'll tell you what we do with them. And I think the easiest question, because people say that, right? And all that is a lame excuse. It's a lame excuse. And so a lot of times we'll start that discussion with this. If you had $500 million, what would you want to do with your life, right? And what would you want to do to affect other people? And then it gets into, if money weren't an issue, what are the things that you like to do the most? And we always know this, it's an inherent human instinct and ability that everybody wishes to help and influence others. I mean, in whatever way it is. So if you can get them thinking about others instead of themselves, then that vision and that dream comes true. There's been very few people who are completely self-centered who help no one else who has become extremely successful. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't work. And people go, oh, Donald Trump, he doesn't care about anybody except himself. Well, unfortunately, whether you like him or hate him, and I don't care, and this isn't political, obviously he helped a lot of people. They said he's a terrible leader. I said, well, he got 40 million people to vote for him. And I do this comparison, right? Hitler's a horrible person, but he was an unreal leader. He got a lot of people to do things that were completely atrocious and horrible. And I don't condone it, but when it comes to leadership, it's like, so what is your influence and how many people can you get to follow you? Right. And yes, are there leaders that are horrible leaders that bring people down the wrong path and cause destruction? Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're still leaders nonetheless.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. So if let's say somebody called you today and said, hey man, I've told this story before, Glenn. I had, when my wife and I opened our first office years and years ago, it was back around the couple of years after the crash. So 2009, 2010, we opened up an office, and I had a bunch of employees, and things were going really well at one point, and then they started taking a slide. I had a guy walk in my office, an employee said, "Hey boss, there's some dude looking in the windows of your SUV out in the parking lot." And I said, "Well, tell him to get the hell out of here." And he said, "Well, I would, but he has it blocked with his tow truck." I was like, "Oh, no." He was there to pick it up because apparently the bank likes it when you make your payments. And so it was a humiliating day. And you know, everybody else was getting paid except for me. And you know, to the person who maybe has recently had their car repossessed, their electric may be getting shut off, things are going bad, and they call you and say, "Man, I don't know which way to turn. It's just not working out for me no matter how hard I try." What's the first thing you're going to say to that person?
Well, usually that's followed up with, "Can I have a loan?"
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And a lot of people call and ask for money.
Yeah, right.
And so the first thing I would say to that, you know, to that person is, as I said before, how was breakfast?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you eat today? And you know what they always say? "Yeah, I did eat." Okay, well, that's good. Hey, well, there's one good thing that's happened. And so what I immediately do is what's called a pattern interrupt, which is an NLP technique.
Yeah.
To get them thinking about something different. See, the problem with people that get their car repossessed, and the problem with people that can't get a job, and the problem with people that can't, which I don't even allow myself to say, is because they become completely obsessively focused on what they can't have.
Right.
What they don't have. And so it becomes a state of mind, then it becomes an identity, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I am not a licensed mental health counselor. Let me say that first. But right. The first thing I do is I do a pattern interrupt, and I start going on, how was breakfast? Do you have clothes on? Do you have shelter? Are you healthy? Can you walk? Can you breathe? Do you need to go to the hospital? And they're going, "Well, no, I can walk and I do have clothes." I'm like, okay. So here's the thing that's great is, even though it's not glorious, there's a lot of people hiring and you can walk somewhere.
Yep.
And do you need a shower? You can borrow a shower, and let's get you in front. And so what I try to do is I try to get them to do what's called incremental achievement. And I try to get them small step successing. And so sometimes it's shower, shave, cut your hair, and get dressed, and then come back and let me take a look at you. And by simply changing their physical appearance, things start to change.
Right.
And so look at, there's rags to riches stories all over, and they're going on right now. And there's no reason that somebody like there can't do the same thing. So the last thing I do is focus on their circumstance, and I instantly get them focusing on a new vision and incremental stair-step achievement.
Love it, dude. Love it.
Thank you.
University of Attitude is the Facebook page. Make sure you go over there. glennbill.com. That's your website.
Well, we got universityofattitude.com. glennbill.com is good too. But University of Attitude, where you get a lot of the attitude stuff and the gap and all that's on there.
universityofattitude.com.
Yes. Yep.
That's amazing that you have that domain. That's awesome, dude.
Crazy. Yeah.
And Bill, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you. If you would hang tight for me, I'm gonna end the live stream, but I want to take us out and I want to chat with you real quick. So thank you for being a guest on the show today, man. You rock. You're awesome.
Thank you, Ken, and thanks everybody who signed in. I really appreciate you giving me 43 minutes of your life. I hope it was an investment worth making, and I hope to see and meet you all soon.
Thank you. Thanks again, Glenn.
All right.